Hello, empowered leaders. I'm Shweta Mogha, and this is Empowered Women of the World podcast. Leaders across 47 countries listen to this podcast every week to get tips on leadership, technology, entrepreneurship, and mindfulness. Stay with me till the end of this podcast when I will share with you a resource or a tip that you could use to be successful. And today, I am excited to welcome Spandana on the show. Spandana is a seasoned technology leader who has worked in companies like Apple and Snapchat. Spandana is currently partner engineer at Facebook, working on payments. Before that, she ran her own augmented reality startup. Today, we would like to talk about technology, entrepreneurship, and how to conquer your fears and failures. Hi Spandana, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shweta.
I'm excited to have you on the show, Spandana. You have a very interesting story. You migrated from India and pursued your education in States and went on to start your own venture at an incredibly young age. Tell us about your journey and how did you navigate this big change?
Thank you for the question. So I moved from India to the States about 11 years ago now to a small town called Ohio, where I did 2 years of my high school in a small city called Beechwood. And as everybody else who migrates here from a different country, I had to go through a vast amount of cultural transition. But for me, what was super unique was that I had 2 years to also define my career path, which was, my next step, which is to apply to college. And usually, if you're studying in the States, you get sort of 4 years to figure out where you want to go to college. But I had to really condense all of that experience down to 2 years to make myself eligible to all the colleges in the States. And that was extremely tough. This is where I guess my education from India really helped me. I was super good in the math and sciences because in India, like STEM fields are, given a lot of importance. I did struggle a lot when it came to the humanities side of things about the US history or whether it was English. And major part of the college admissions involved writing essays and a great deal of self-reflection, which I wasn't really prepared for. So I had to learn the things around like, okay, how do you write really good essays? How do you make sure you stand out as a leader, stand out from the crowd? How do you bring in your own experiences from your childhood, from your immigration? How do you craft a good story to make yourself eligible to college? So having done a lot of unique experiences within those 2 years, I was able to get myself into Cornell, which is one of the Ivy League schools, and I'm super proud of what I was able to accomplish within such a short span of time. But what that also taught me is that you can accomplish a lot of different things and experience a lot of different things within a short span of time. And that sort of like also defined, my career, which was all about learning a lot of different things within a short span of time. I went to Cornell. I did my computer science major at Cornell. Even that path was a little bit unconventional. I started as a chemical engineering, and then switched my major to CS because I just saw like how lucrative technology was and how easy it was to make an impact using tech. And then I landed, a software engineering role at Apple in Silicon Valley, and then moved on to Snap after 2 years, and then did my own startup, and now I'm working at Facebook in the payment space.
That's awesome, Spandana. I know, migrating from a different country altogether is a big change, specifically, the way we are brought up, the way our culture is different, and it becomes a huge change management process for our own selves to be able to adapt to a new location, new country, and of course the education system. So kudos to you on that. Very inspiring. Spandana, you launched your own augmented reality startup. How did this idea come to you, and how did you make it happen?
Right. So I am a person who loves to do hackathons. Again, this goes back to the theme of what is the amount of experience that you can have in a very short amount of time. And hackathon is a great space that provides you a stage to be able to do that. You just have 24 to 48 hours of focused time, because that is important, right? Away from all distractions, away from work, away from procrastination, away from TV, anything that might distract you, and then you're focused to deliver something within the short period of time. And that's when I strive. So I used to do a lot of hackathons when I was working, because they were a great way for me to test and validate ideas that I thought would turn into, cool new businesses that would then have an impact on people. So the idea for the augmented reality startup, my startup is called Hive, came about in the TechCrunch hackathon as well. It was at Disrupt in San Francisco, and I huddled together a group of 4 of my friends and basically forced them to participate in the hackathon with me. We were a team of 3 engineers and 1 designer, and overnight, we were experimenting with AR. At that time, it was very, very new, and the main question or problem we were trying to solve was, hey, how do ads look like in augmented reality, and will the same level of ad experiences translate into AR as well? And one thing we for sure didn't want, which everybody had a vision for, was we hated ads the way they were today, and we thought that ad experience could be 10x better and 10x more interactive and 10x more contextual and understanding of your environment, the moment you're in, so that you could deliver the right experience at the right time to the right user. So that was the vision, and with that vision, we just prototyped, an experiment really within 24 to 48 hours, and we were on stage presenting the idea, and in a fraction of a second, we were on front page of TechCrunch. So that's really how my startup kick-started. And after that, I didn't really anticipate much traction, but we received a lot of interest from developers inbound, and then as well as some of the ad networks like AT&T reached out to us to do presentation to their innovation partners within the firm. So that was pretty cool. I think when your idea is working, if there is a lot of pull from the market rather than pushing your idea onto the market. And even though this was a relatively new concept, the amount of traction we saw for the startup really propelled us to go and explore if there's product market fit, which was the next stage post the idea and prototyping. And that's when we decided we're going to secure, venture capital funding. And as immigrant founders, it was another obstacle to, overcome. But we got funded from Unshackled Ventures based in Palo Alto, and that's when this whole journey kickstarted.
Wow, what a journey. Starting at a very young age, coming up with an idea which never existed at that point of time, or was it really, really nascent stage, and building upon that must have been an incredible experience for you and your team. I'd love to know what kind of challenges you faced as an entrepreneur, and the kind of advice that you'd like to give to the budding entrepreneurs. The space is really, really difficult to navigate. Not all ventures are successful. How do you keep being resilient during tough times? We'd love to know.
Yeah, it's really, really hard, especially in today's day and age, to be an entrepreneur, because if you have an idea, it's most likely that someone else also has that idea, and maybe someone else already even came up with an app or a startup. There's a startup for everything now, right?
Yeah.
So the first and the foremost, I guess, struggle for me was to figure out, is my idea unique enough or not? And sometimes, no one's going to determine that for you. Every startup has its own journey, and the uniqueness of like, okay, like this idea is truly unique, this is truly innovative, this is truly different, is not really what shapes, the business. Most of the time, what shapes the business is the problem. And that for me was the first learning. And a lot of people hold back, trying to figure out, hey, is my idea unique? And then I start doing like market research, competitive research, and figure out like there are 10 different companies doing the same thing. So I think like that's the first step back you have, or dilemma about proceeding or not. And when that happens, at least what I learned is, doesn't matter if your solution is truly unique or not, because most likely you will pivot and you will learn from your customers. But everybody needs to agree on the problem, on the vision, right, that this problem is trying to solve, which could be a really broad vision. And I think that is like the first step, or towards starting something new, which a lot of people I see like hold back on, thinking like my idea is not unique enough. So for me as well, like that was one of the struggles that I faced over and over again, until I realized this is not a success metric, the uniqueness of the idea. The second struggle obviously is like going from 0 to 1 customer is the hardest thing ever. What that means is you will face rejections. And what that means is you have to go out and actually be vulnerable and put yourself out there and be open to rejection. I think only an insane person will sign up for something like that. So what that means is also that you have to be super resilient. Rejection is not personal, ever. But what is, I guess, important to understand is the reasons behind like why someone's rejecting your solution, right? And why they may be agreeing with the problem. Because if you find some sort of consensus even on the problem, you're on a good step to figuring out a solution. So it may be not the solution you want, but it's the solution your customers might want. But you're both on the same journey to solve the same problem. So as long as like you have shared vision and like you share the same problem and frustration, I think you can attract customers, you can attract key employees to your startup. And no one's really interested in like, yeah, this is the solution I'm going to give to the world. Everyone's interested in really solving the problem together. So that's number 2, is like rejection is never personal, and that you have to share your idea, be open to getting people's opinions, various kinds of people's opinions, right? Like from diverse backgrounds, but at the same time focus on your target market. You can't like have feedback from everybody, which leads me to third kind of struggle that I face as an entrepreneur, is like you tend to jump into like an advice trap, because you start asking everybody for advice. And sometimes you get lost in the advice, because one person might have one opinion of a certain decision or dilemma situation, and another person could have a very different opinion. And then you're really stuck in this trap of, okay, who do I really take advice from? So I think it's super important to know who should I go for certain specific problems, and what are their strengths, and why you should listen to them. And versus like listening to your own gut and your own data and research. And I've also fell in this advice trap. I tend to fall in this advice trap a lot. And one way I had to just overcome it was to pull back and observe like, okay, does this person really have full context about what is going on to give me the right advice or not? In this situation. So that was, number 3 important struggle for me, as well as an advice to not fall into an advice trap for budding entrepreneurs.
That's great. I love when you say Spandana, that rejections are not personal, because most of the times that's the toughest part, as an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur myself, I realized that sometimes you have great conversations with people who want to invest or people who want to be partner with you, but it does not materialize because of some reason, and that becomes really hard for you as an individual to be able to manage. So managing your emotional well-being during that time of rejection is something which is extremely important, and having that maturity of saying, this is not personal, let me learn from this situation, is extremely important.
Right.
Well, Spandana, that was awesome. I think I really got inspired by your story, and I personally, have always been a fan of yours. Thank you so much for joining in today and sharing your story with us. I wish you all the very best for the times to come, and I hope the COVID situation resolves soon, and we all can go back to work. I don't know how you are managing during these times.
Thank you. Yeah, I certainly hope we will get back to normal, but it's gonna definitely be a new normal that we have to adapt to.
Absolutely. Thank you, Spandana. And today's resource for you is the link to the leadership affirmations that will help you to be successful in your leadership journey. The link is in the show notes. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you found valuable nuggets in today's podcast. I would love your feedback and thoughts, so please email us at empoweredwow@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing you again in our next podcast. Till then, keep empowering the world.